Okay, I'm going to run through the exact tools you need to book all the appointments that you need, all right? So you could book 30, 40, 50, 60. You know, my friends book over 100 appointments a month. And this is literally all you need to book appointments. I'm not going to waste your time, so I'm going to get right into it. Give me a second. All right, so let's run through this. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of stuff here, but I'm gonna run through the fundamentals first. So before we go through anything, okay, so we have to understand how humans respond to things. Okay, so imagine you have a human. You need a stimulus in order for them to take an action. So, for example, I don't know, I mean, I have some examples here. So, for example, you send them a message, right? So, they're just a person on Instagram hanging around. You have to give a stimulus. So, for example, you give them a message, and then the action is to respond to the message. Stimulus is just, you know, anything in the external world. So, I don't know, if you gave a kid a blank piece of paper and some crayons or something, right? That's like the stimulus. The action is probably to, I don't know, start drawing on it, right? So stimulus and action is just simple like that. And the key to understanding at a micro level what people want is to actually reverse engineer all the micro actions that would take. So for example, see message, check profile, right? So see your message, your cold DM, they're gonna check your profile, they're gonna initially reply, right? So checking a profile, people often do this after you send out a DM. Initial reply, so the first reply that they ever give you. The following replies: express interest, open Calendly, answer the questions, confirm the appointment, and they show up to the call. So for you, right, you have to send a message for them to see it, optimize the profile. Oh shit. Optimize the profile so when they check it, they're happy. After, like, maybe follow up so they can get the initial reply. Build rapport, so as they reply to the following messages. Pitch in follow-ups so they can express interest. Calendly so they can open it. The questions so they can answer. Confirmation to confirm. And you use follow-ups to make sure they show. So all of these things are stimulus, all of them. And all of these are actions that come as a result of the stimulus. The human is just the person who takes the action. So I'll show you that later. And another thing, so stimulus. Another thing you must understand is systems, okay? Just in general, what systems are. So inputs, process, outcomes, and feedback. So what does this all mean, right? You might be like, what the fuck? System, it's kind of hard to explain. It's basically just what you're looking at. So you put something in, process occurs, something else happens, and it feeds back to iterate on the input. So every system has a function, so its intended purpose, right? So imagine making lasagna or something, right? Input is all the ingredients. Process is like just implementing the recipe. Out comes the lasagna. Feedback, so if the lasagna is bad, you have to fix the process. If the lasagna is good, keep doing what it does, right? So, for example, I'll show you more of it later, but like for example, inputs might be a person, process might be the stimulus in this case, right? Action, outcomes come as a result of this action. And feedback is like whether it's performing up to scratch and stuff like that. Environment is just the thing that surrounds you. So if we go back to the making lasagna example, one sec. Yeah, we don't cut out videos here. Environment, it will be, I don't know, the kitchen, right? If you have crappy knives, crappy, cooking equipment, there's going to be problems with your lasagna, right? For us, the environment is the market. So, the leads we're targeting, whether people like selling, because in the past, cold DMs would do extremely well. And this is a few years ago. This was, before me, like before I got into business. But cold DMs, cold emails, all that stuff used to be extremely good. Now paid ads, they got like high cost per lead, cost per click, because the environment's changing and people don't like selling as much, for example. So you should keep an eye out on the environment as well. And the next part that is important is the sub process. Okay, so these are basically the processes to do with cold DMs. Now, if we look at the whole process of cold DMs, right, it will basically be turning a person, right, through your cold DM process into a person who booked an appointment. And the feedback is how well that worked. Now, within this system, there are subsystems, smaller systems, right? So we first of all have our latent lead, right? You have to understand, it's all about these, cold DMs isn't about scripts, but it's actually more about understanding the person and making them get to the place you want them to get to, right? Sales isn't all about sales scripts. It's more about getting the prospect to into a situation that you want them to. I'll explain more of that later. But we start with a latent lead, right? So this is someone who's, not, if it's cold, they haven't seen you ever, right? You use your opener message, then you get their attention, right? And feedback is how well this is going. So I don't know. They have a metric called positive reply rate. If your reply rate is 1%, you're in big trouble. So feedback, you use metrics to track that, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So the first system is you have your lead, you open them with a message, you get their attention, and you track how well that's going. Now you have an attentive lead, they're interested. You do pitching and follow-ups, right? So they could be, you tell them your Calendly, you follow up with them, then they're interested, right? Feedback is how well this is going. So it's reply to positive reply. Positive reply shows interest, for example. So you track that as well. Pitching and follow-ups brings them to interested, and you give them your Calendly link. You're like, oh, it sounds like you're interested, feel free to book a call just on this link, and things are all good, right? Interested lead, appointments, and feedback, right? Again, how well it's going. I don't need to say it again. So what percentage of people can bring from interested to actually booking an appointment? Now, this whole process is just the client acquisition process, which is, the one we talked about here. But yeah, I don't know. I thought I just heard something. But it's basically all of these put together would equate to this one system. So feedback, there's the final feedback. So basically all the way from latent lead to booking an appointment, what percentage of people went through this whole process? What's your booking rate? So they call it ABR, average booking rate, and it just tracks how well your overall system is going. Quick tip, if your whole system is doing fine, don't try to fix the micro parts, because the thing about fixing this, it might cause a problem here, which is going to fuck up your whole system. So you don't want that. And next up, I'm going to talk more about cold DMs, and then after that, I'm going to talk a little bit about things that aren't cold DMs, because those things can generate a lot of leads. And to be honest, in the long term, inbound leads should be your main part, should be your main lead source. Cold DMs, there's always a use for them, but all the biggest brands like Hormozi, Imangaji, you know, all these guys, they actually focus on content creation. So inputs for success, this shouldn't be outbound, this should just not have anything on it. This is the outbound part. Cold outreach, 100 DMs a day, right? So that's how many you should be doing, 100 a day, which is 3,000 a month, 30 calls booked at 1% ABR. So assuming 1% of people go through this whole system, you should have 30 calls booked. By the way, 1% is really low. You should be going for like 2 to 3%, if not high. So assuming 80% of people show up, so SUR is show up rate. So 24 people show up from the 30. You close 1/4 of the people, just 6 people. And that should be at least 3K a month, because you should be charging upwards of like 500 a month or something like that. With YouTube, it's 1 to 2 long form YouTube a week ideally, which is 4 to 8 a month. I didn't mention this, but it should have like, I'll tell you more about this later, but there's not really a set number of views that you can have per video. But from like, there's some people with 1 million views who can't earn money, and people with 1,000 views that can earn a lot of money. And it's all about conversion rates, okay? So I'm just going to put this in, 1 to 3% CTR to Calendly. Which basically means that 1 to 3% of your YouTube views should be going to your Calendly page, given you have a call to action in your YouTube video. With Instagram, I said 1 Instagram reel a day, but honestly, if you do more, it'd be better, which is 30 a month. Normally, this should mean more than 10K accounts reach. If it's not reached 10K, that's a serious problem. Before I cover any of that, this is the link to the lead magnet. I'll drop it in the description, and my socials, I think I'll drop that in my description as well. If you do want to work with me, again, description, but I'll put the link there, and I'll drop this whole thing I'll put this whole document's link in the description as well. So if you want to book a call with me, just go to the first link in the description. That should be fine. All right. So now that we've covered, our outbound systems and processes, we're now going to cover more of the inbound systems and processes. So let's start with content. So this looks probably really confusing, but don't worry. Okay, this is not tough at all. So this is all content, right? This is not related to cold DMs, but you should make content alongside cold DMs. And that's coming from the people who've helped me, and they make a lot more money than I do. So there's short form strategies, right? Instagram Reels, Stories. So there's Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikToks, right? And posts. I put an asterisk on these 3 because I realized that Instagram's the big one, and these 3 when you get bigger, you should do them, but they don't contribute as much to Instagram. I'd say Instagram by itself probably does more than all three of these put together, in my opinion. I might be wrong. So, all of these short form methods go to your YouTube long form because you want to convert from short form to long form, okay? And because long form content is where all the value is, where you deliver all of the value, all right? After that, you have a free school community, right? If you want to set one up, honestly, I'll put that link as well. You don't have to, but schools actually like a really good meta, and no one's really trying it. You could funnel them to your free school community, then you can get them on a Calendly link, so they could work a high ticket offer, because you usually should have a high ticket offer, right? Like working one-on-one, maybe even done for you. Or alternatively, if you see this arrow here, you can go from YouTube right into a Calendly link as well, right? This is an alternative method. You could do both at the same time, to be honest. It doesn't really matter. As long as there's like a lot of ways to get to your Calendly link, it should be fine. It just should be really easy for people to book. Now, if you do make Twitter posts, because Twitter is one of the ways to make content, right? So if you make Twitter posts, you should have a CTA, which is, as I said, call to action in your post. And this funnels them to your DMs, right? And the DMs, you could give them the Calendly link in your DMs, right? TikToks, you could lead them to TikTok DMs. My mentor said it would be better if they went to Instagram DMs from TikTok, because TikTok, apparently the DMs features is not that good. I've not tried it that much, but that's what I've heard. So Instagram DMs, which can go to your Calendly link. Instagram short forms can also go to stories. People underestimate stories severely. And, there's people who post. You should post like a story a day or more. And, people post like one story a week, and that's just like, it's just not good. All right. And after this, you have Instagram funnels. So this is just like a zoom in kind of what's going on. So this first one looks weird, but Instagram Reels, right? Short form. It does include posts as well. Instagram short form is like Reels and posts, right? You could use a call to action to go straight into your Calendly link, or alternatively, you could lead them to your Instagram stories, which is a lot more, personal, and it's a lot more nurturing than an Instagram Reel, because short form content's usually used to get new people, while long form content is used to nurture and retain. So you could use Instagram stories, use a call to action, bring them right to the Calendly link. Or from stories, you could go to DMs, right? And when you DM them, you could direct them to a Calendly link as well. Oh, I forgot this. This is with a school, right? School community. And YouTube long form, right? This is the start point, because you nurture people with the YouTube. Technically speaking, you could use other forms of content to bring them to your free school as well. So, Instagram short form. I don't recommend TikTok because it's like the leads are really trash on there. But Instagram Reels and Twitter posts could bring them to your school community as well. There's just like 100 different ways to do this, to be honest. But I'll just tell you the most common ones. So YouTube, you could funnel them right to a low-tech community. You don't need to have one, by the way. because if you don't sell anything low ticket, it's like straight to high ticket, then this doesn't even exist for you. Free school community, right? You could funnel directly into a Calendly link, so one-on-one, high ticket, which is like, honestly, that's what I recommend. You could use a VSL to bring them to your low ticket community, but again, like, you don't want to overcomplicate things for yourself, because otherwise it's not going to go very well for you. There's a thing called operational drag, and you want to minimize that, and because drag is basically like how much friction there is to doing everything. And if you have like a low ticket, free community, high ticket community, one-on-one, you know, all these forms of content, it often takes like a lot of people to run it, and it's a lot harder to run by yourself. And you can't focus on it, and you'll just do a lot worse in business. But anyways, you could go from YouTube long form, as I said, directly into a Calendly link, right? Directly into a Calendly link, like I mentioned before. Again, there's just 100 ways to like, there's 100 ways to do this. All I'm gonna say is that you could either, you know, take big steps, so from free right into high ticket, which has low conversion rates, but it's one step, right? Or alternatively, you could go from YouTube to free school, which is high conversion rates, but then like there's going to be another drop off from the free school to the Calendly link. It's up to you. I think usually 2 steps is better than 1, but again, it depends on the situation. Now, finally, there's the expected time inputs for content, right? 3 hours per video, right? All things included. Honestly, I wouldn't even say 3 hours of video, because now we have AI with scripting and ideation and whatnot. But say it's 3 hours, 12 to 24 hours a month, depends on how many videos you make. Instagram Reels, 30 minutes a day. Even that's questionable. I don't even think it takes 30 minutes. But if it's 30 minutes, it's 15 hours a month. Cold DM takes a bit of time, but it takes like, depends, it could take up to 30 minutes for you to find your leads, right? And from there, you could do copy-paste campaigns. So what I mean by that is copy and paste, you know, the same message to everyone. It is lower quality DMs. However, you could do, you could send more. And that takes like 15 minutes. Personalized outreach. In my experience, bro, I've almost never seen anyone actually do 100 cold DMs personalized. Because it says 4 hours in theory, according to Hormozi, but Hormozi is super duper productive. And he is like psychologically, like, I'm not saying he's just better, but you know, when you're a beginner, you might have like lower focus than he does, because he's really focused. 4 hours is very conservative. Realistically, I don't know, it would take way longer in my opinion. And again, I see like nobody doing it. You should use personalized outreach, but it's really tough to do 100, especially in 4 hours. Benchmark metrics. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. So how much should you be converting? Okay, so YouTube to Calendly, all right? So a YouTube viewer to your Calendly page is like 2%. Okay. In Instagram DMs, the number of people who should see your message, okay, should be 10%. Okay. Now this varies a lot between platform. On LinkedIn, I've heard KPIs that's like 60%, right? It could be 60% on LinkedIn. On Instagram, it's like 10. If you send 100 messages, 10 people see it. PRR, so positive reply rate. So, what percentage of people replied given that they've answered. So if you've sent 100 messages, right, 10% responded, so 10 of them see it, 10 scenes, and positive response rate is out of the 10 people, 7 of them, right, 70%, responded positively. So they're kind of interested. LSR, which is link sent rate. So this is the percentage of Calendly links that are sent. So if you send 100 messages, 5 Calendly links are sent. Outbound ABR, so in cold DMs, out of 100 messages you send, 2 to 3% of people should book. So 2 to 3 appointments. If it's inbound, so people who already see your content, and people you might already know. So imagine you're messaging people who liked your Instagram post. It should be 5 to 10%. So if you send 100 of those messages, you should get 5 to 10 appointments. 5% of free community members should convert to low ticket. I'm not 100% sure about this, because I'm not too much in this space. SUR, so number of people who booked who actually show up. So if 5 people book, at least 4 of them, 80% should show up. If it's below 80%, you should fix it, because people actually underestimate this so much. I went from 50% show up to like 80%, and that's been huge. Sales close rate, so the number of so out of the people who show up, what percentage of them become paying clients? It says 25 to 35%. This fluctuates wildly. I've heard 15% when it comes to like another closer. I've heard 80, 90%, like 80%, right? When they're like really nurtured. When you nurture people more, your close rates will be higher. But you should be closing at least like 25% if it's your product. Okay, so yeah, that's about it. And again, if you want to work with me and book a call and all that stuff, or follow me on my socials, all the links will be in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye bye.